factory and I'll keep watching you till it's over.
There's a war going on here. This is a military mission. The kind that's indistinguishable from the real thing. VR. That's far more effective than line exercises. This situation, I find it very nostalgic. Yeah, well, I doubt it accurately simulates the events of that mission. Freeze. But nothing seems real. There's no such thing as miracles or the supernatural, only cutting-edge technology. It's like being in a nightmare you can't wake up from.
Jack, snap out of it.
I'm not sure. Sometimes it's hard to tell the difference between reality and a game.
Nobody's aware of it, but there's a subsystem in place. It's about to be activated.
Complete your mission according to the simulation. From me. I am not keeping back anything. It's not as though I'm told all the facts either.
We still need you to take care of a few things. This time, do not fail us.
Your mission.
Everyone knows that it's a dangerous substance.
It's unbelievable.
Hard to believe, isn't it? But it's the truth. That's good news.
Single shot. Special weapon. Single shot. Single shot. Special weapon. Single shot. Reload.
An info bot. Ratchet, we could use that.
Alright, wise guy. Hey, I thought you were gonna help me. Giant robots attacking!
Bentley calling Sly Cooper. Do you read me? Come in! Come in!
Can you yell a little louder so the guards can hear you too?
Oops. used a combination of some kind of bolt. Jackpot, Sly! And you know what that means. Tighter security. You're gonna have to be extra sneaky to get the treasure key here.
I'm not hiring you because of your brother. I'm giving you a shot because I hear you're good. Must be in the blood, eh? Now, drive.
if you want to move on.
Yeah, I'm looking good.
Build up your boost with tricks. Cliffhanger. In the zone.
And that's the way I like it! Big air! Thinking. Rock and roll!
5th place! Double can! One is so over! Cliffhanger!
That's some sorry writing if I've ever seen it.
Knack-knack! Seat grab! And a Cordova! Watch out! One is a thing of the past.
Ah, I got a headache!
Seat grab!
Woohoo!
I've got a friend, her name is Laura. We sat and watched the moonless crickets and my cover tunes way back in May. Yeah, she's my anthem. She's a spark. Yeah, yeah. Feels like anthem. So light me up. She's got this friend whose name is Paula. But now she's not around, I'm hanging on with broken hands way above the clouds. She's my anthem. She's a spark. Yeah, yeah. Feels like anthem. So light me up. You really light me up. You really
best kept secret in the universe. We are your best, last, and only line of defense.
I make this look good.
Hello, my name's Gavin Rayburn. I'm the studio head of G Studios within Codemasters. Here we have a race driver, Toca Race Driver, which is effectively the fourth Toca game, but very different to the early Toca 1, Toca 2s. Very similar in many ways to WTC. But what we tried to do this time around with Toca Race Driver is to not only move the game itself forward, the series itself forward, but also the genre as a whole, the racing genre, because we find looking at the racing genre at the moment, it's quite staid and quite stilted. So one of the reasons for this is probably the focus on the cars. There's too much focus on the cars and not much perhaps on the personal aspect of racing. Real motorsport is all about the characters in the sports themselves, or any sport is like that. So what we tried to do with Race Driver is to add a character element. Not just a character element, but also a story element based around the racing world. Here we see Ryan McCain. Here's our hero for Toca Race Driver. You play the part of Ryan McCain and you'll follow him right through his racing career. We start off with Ryan being given an offer to race for a small team. Ryan's father, his dead father, Carl McCain, was the world champion, and his brother is now the world champion, doing very well. So he's following in some pretty heavy footsteps there. What we tried to do with the whole of Race Driver is give it a real 3D reason for everything to be within the game. So instead of just having boring 2D text, where possible, we've tried to have, for example, like selecting a car, instead of just having a car spinning around the spot looking nice and shiny with no reason to be there. We've actually got a little set of keys you can pick up, and you look through a brochure for the car you want. So it gives a much more immersive sort of believable world to follow. Again, showing all the tracks in the game, 38 tracks in the game, 42 licensed cars. All the tracks are real as well, plenty to learn. This is supposed to represent a poster on the wall where you can see all the tracks that you can select. We've got 4 licensed championships in the game. DTM, so German touring cars. We've got obviously Toca Tour, which is in the game as well, and also the V8 supercars, which are mad, very, very fast cars, V8 cars. Wonderful cars. Got a choice of livery as well. You can select for each car, select the transmission type, all the usual features you expect in a racing game. Here we have the garage setup area. On this screen, you'll notice your car that you've just chosen in the image. Again, where possible, every single screen will have options that you've selected within it. So the car, you can have your car in the scene, or you might have in one of the movie sequences, we have the car you're racing in and the track you're racing in. All the movie sequences are played live in the game, and again, that's so we don't break the game world. We don't want to have like a posh Final Fantasy type cutscene and then go to the racing itself. So the car setup, every option you want you can set up on the car, but it's absolutely not essential to set the car up. This is not a management game. It's supposed to be based around the life of a racing driver. So we set all the cars up ourselves, about 95%, or as best we can actually, for you to use. But if you want to tweak them, I'm sure you can get better settings than we can, but you don't have to. You can still beat the game with the settings you've got. We've got real speed blurring, which is follows an actual shutter speed, well, 60 frames a second, just like normal cameras, film cameras that is. Basically what that means is you get a real sensation of speed. If you don't do that, it looks like digital photography. That's what many games look like, digital photography, but it makes things whip by, and that's what it's all about. You want to really feel like you are hurtling around at 150 miles an hour. Most racing games are quite linear in that you go from one track to the next track to the next track, and there's nothing you can do about that. It's just the way it is. Especially if you follow one championship. With Toca Race Driver, we've got many championships, and you move around quite quickly because you can take offers from different teams around the world at any time. So that means you're never in one location for too long, and you do get a lot of variety very quickly.
I think motocross games in general have a really tough time succeeding, and motorcycles of any variety even, whether it's the simulation style of super bikes or an arcade racer like this is. It's definitely tough to succeed with a motorcycle game. And the angle we took on it, even when it was still a supercross game, was to emphasize the crazy tattoo-covered characters and the over-the-top tricks, and do tricks that weren't even possible in real life. And really play to that part of the motocross world rather than racing, especially racing inside stadiums on tracks that have hairpin turns. You never get a straightaway that's more than 100 yards long, and it's just fun for somebody who wants that sports simulation and not really fun for somebody who's looking for a good video game. We knew that, and we were making an EA Sports game, so there were certain restrictions there. We gambled a bit inside the company, that is, to make a demo of an EA Sports Supercross game that had really nothing to do with Supercross as our ploy to do a game that was totally different than Supercross. And after E3 last year, we decided we would make what turned into Freekstyle. So from the beginning, though, we knew, let's put this into the EA Sports big lineup, and what that meant to us was to take some things that were successful in SSX and borrow those so that there was some familiarity. I mean, the tricks are pulled with the same type of interface, but add to it in a way that it's not going to be the same game experience. And at first blush, there's a lot of similarities, which is good. It makes it a lot more accessible to people who are fans of SSX. Plays a lot different. I mean, for the one reason it's not downhill, it's a motorized vehicle where you can point it in any direction and go. We had about 30 people, 30 riders who were part of EA Sports Supercross, and probably 25 of those 30 were race-oriented guys, and Greg Albertine is the one remnant in Freekstyle. And then we had 4 or 5 freestyle riders who were in Freekstyle that we had put into the Supercross game to give that the flavor of freestyle motocross and tricks and all that, along with the Supercross racing. So we kept the freestyle riders, we kept Greg Albertine because he's a good counterpoint to the guys who just do tricks. And we had already Jessica and Steffi, who are the 2 women's motocross champions. The head-to-head modes are just in freestyle competing for points, and in race competing for position, just you against a friend. Tag is inspired by Tony Hawk racing around the freestyle arena trying to tag a whole bunch of different objects that you're colored in a time limit. King of Pain is it's a track that's just got a big wall of glass, and so you're trying to break through as many of those panes of glass as possible. Similar to Tag, just a different mechanism for counting up your score. And the coolest 2-player mode, I think, is Countdown. So in Countdown mode, we're racing, but we're really trying to bring the other player's score to 0. We both start with a couple million points, and just imagine, like in an old coin-op video game, you've got your bonus points in addition to the points you're scoring, and the longer you play, the fewer bonus points you're going to get. The ease of picking up the controls and just figuring out how to play to begin with, it should be very accessible to get good at the game. I don't think it's easy at all. We've actually, I hate to say it, but some of the tuning that we've done in the last few weeks especially has all been about making the game easier, at least at the beginning of the circuit. I think the end is still quite challenging. Every indication I've gotten in the last couple weeks is that this game's too hard, so it starts pretty easy. I mean, just beating the AI in your first race is fairly straightforward, so that you get a new bike and you get to upgrade your character and get to a new track very quickly. Unlike the first SSX, our second track is not a real bitch compared to the first one. It doesn't ramp up like this and then back down. We made an effort to teach the player something new on each track as you progress through them, instead of just having them be more difficult. There were 2 special effects people, and both of them were really important. And typically in video games, there's a programmer who understands how the system works, and the programmer might tell some artists, draw me a couple fire textures and I'll put them together, and it never ends up the same way. We got the guy who specialized in that was a guy who had worked on doing 3D art for the movie Shrek before he came and worked for EA. One thing I learned in doing this project, it's so much about getting people who are that high caliber with their artistic talent, but also focusing people on one thing rather than spreading them out. It's had a couple of small scheduled delays. All of those have been purely for the purpose of making the game as good as we possibly could make it, adding features or improvements to the game along the way. For example, we spent a good portion of last fall just trying to make the game look as good as it could. Then after we made it look great, we were trying to make additional levels and focus on trying to make it play great, and that's not really predictable. I really like what we ended up with in Freekstyle. It's very similar to what SSX has on the one hand, but on the other, every single trick is totally different in its look, and it's not about just how many rotations or flips did I do while grabbing the board and with my left hand or right hand.
Colin Mcrae's coming along really well. I mean, obviously we're here at E3 demoing latest version of the game. I mean, obviously we were planning this to be the launch event. We've been drip feeding stuff out to the public. I think we always, want to make sure we've got everything absolutely right before we show stuff, and that's exactly what we've done here. We've got a lot of the game ready, a lot of cool stuff to show. So hopefully it goes down really well. The visuals, I guess, go without saying. I mean, we've enhanced the visuals enormously, and that's really, really important. The key difference with this game compared to the other games is that this is going to be the first game you actually compete as Colin Mcrae. So for the first time, you're competing as Colin in the Ford Focus in the championship mode anyway. You're basically competing to win the World Championship, for him and for the Ford Rally team. We've got a quick play mode in there as well. We've got 16 of the cars, a whole range of countries, so there's lots of new stuff to entertain. We've got 8 countries in the game, a broad range of surfaces as usual. So we've got sort of snow surfaces, Sweden, we've got gravel in things like Australia, muddy UK, and then we've got tarmac as well in various countries. We've got 3 new countries in the game we've not included before, which are Japan, USA and Spain. They've never been in the Colin Mcrae games before, so quite excited about those too. We've sort of enhanced it, I would say, more than anything else. We've taken some areas of it and improved it. It's probably been fairly significantly improved, I would say, over what we've done previously. I mean, this version, things like the surfaces, the way the car behaves and the way it moves on surfaces has been changed to just hopefully make it a lot more realistic. Well, there's the championship mode as sort of described, where you're going to play as Colin, you're going to work through the championship, you're going to see the Ford vehicles and the Ford support vehicles. We're then going to have the usual sort of single rally, single stage modes where you can play the other cars, and there'll be multiplayer as well. There'll be 2 players per screen. In this game there's going to be a super special stage for every country, and they're going to be at night as well. They're going to be quite cool, all nicely lit up, look good. And I guess the core of the game is unchanged.
I got a cheer, that's a pretty good start. Hi, my name is Brendan McNamara and I'm the director of The Getaway. The Getaway is a gritty crime drama set in the ganglands of London. And as you can see, it's definitely not for kids. I've been working on this game for over 3 years and it's difficult just to describe just how ambitious this project has been. I'd like to say that this has been by some sort of grand design, but it's simply not true. When we first got the PS2 hardware, it allowed us the freedom to design on a scale that we hadn't imagined on PS1. Here's an example of the realism we can achieve on PS2. These two shots are of a famous train station in London called St Pancras. One of these is a game shot and one of these is a real one. The clue for us is which one has the most realistic weather. PS2 forced us to reevaluate what kind of game we wanted to make and try and look into the future of what might be possible in a video game. A question I've continued to ask myself is, how can a movie be more than a movie and a game be more than a game? My answer would be if you could play the movie and if the game had a story that actually meant something. We knew we could recreate a fantastic rendition of London, but we decided we didn't want the usual small subset of the city as a backdrop of the game. We wanted the whole lot. So we went crazy and we reproduced 46 square kilometres of London. That's every street, every road marking, every building and every bus stop. And to put it in an American perspective, that's the equivalent of the whole island of Manhattan. That's 5 hours of drivable roads, 70 miles of road surface, 50,000 reference photos, and a graveyard of Sony digital cameras that we wore out going out and shooting London's buildings. We created technology that would allow us to get the most out of the PS2. The game never stops streaming ever. It's constantly loading new parts of the city, cars and characters in a way that we hope shows off what the PS2 design team had in mind when they created this hardware. We didn't skimp on the cars either and approached all the car manufacturers that you'd expect to find in a big European city and asked them if they wanted to be involved in the Getaway. So here's an example of one of the characters' cars in the game. The Getaway is a mixed genre game that mixes driving and action, but we wanted to create a really sophisticated driving model that incorporates rear-wheel drive, front-wheel drive, and all-wheel drive to create a realistic oversteer, understeer experience. We were now at the stage where we had great locations and great cars, but our characters weren't really cutting it. So we took the original design sketches and we decided we'd cast real actors and scan them into the game, which is a big decision for us. But having real actors gave us many benefits. We could use their likenesses and performances and game characters. We could use them in cutscenes and capture their vocal performances at the same time. They're also pretty useful for marketing purposes because people seem to want to talk to actors more than game developers. Having real characters meant we needed something for them to say, so we spent 6 months working on a script which is over 100 pages long and equates to 60 minutes of narrative in the game. After the initial readings, we needed a dynamic, forceful character to play Frank Carter, the vigilante cop. So what I'm going to show you is this guy, Joe's Rice's first reading of the script to play Frank Carter.
Who do you think you are, Rambo? This is London, not f***ing Hollywood. You endangered the lives of hundreds of innocent bystanders. I've had just about enough of your slap-happy cowboy approach to this job. You put too many lives at risk.
Including my own. When was the last time you put your life on the line for this job, you f***ing desk jockeys? How many lives did I save here today? Then, when the villains around here start carrying water pistols instead of lethal f***ing weapons, then I'll start clipping around here. Until then, just let me do my f***ing job, alright?
So as you can see from the tape, we got something pretty forceful. We cast Ricky Hards as Charlie Jolson, a notorious East End crime boss, almost by accident. And as you can see from the picture, whenever me and Rick get together, it's a who's got the shiniest head competition. Ricky was 20 years too young, but he had the voice, mannerisms, and intelligence we were after, so we took the plunge to make Ricky older. And by the way, if you're watching this, Ricky is claustrophobic, so we put him through a head casting to make him a bit older. It's not much fun, so have a look at it now.
About 6 months from the same. Before we go to meet.
So they put 2 straws up his nose so he can breathe.
Just in your other eye before we poke him around.
And as I said, he's claustrophobic, so we had his girlfriend along the day, so she held his hand all the way through the process. But he wanted to keep her out of the picture.
Just going over your eyes, you feel just working in your eyes. Open your cheeks. Fantastic. Yeah, so this one. There it comes. That's bang. And there we go. Bang. It's down, we go up fast.
what we've got in there. Unfortunately, this base.
You can see the difference between the two versions. The idea is that he starts off at sort of 35 years old, and at this stage he's probably about 55 to 60.
So it's a pretty unnerving process to go from 35 to 55 in just a couple of days, and I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. The scanning process was almost the last piece of the puzzle. I'd like to show you another example. This is Chopper, who's a well-known English actor who has appeared in both Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels and Snatch, and the remake of The Mean Machine. Here's how Chopper looks in the game as Jamal, the Audi boss. Our characters were now incredible, and they did justice to the city and the cars. They're as close as we could imagine to the real characters you've seen, while still running in real time on PS2. However, they were lifeless, and once again, the pursuit of realism pushed us to find new ways of bringing our characters to life. We spent 1 year researching different ways of getting a performance into a 3D model. We looked at hand animation, optical motion capture, medical scanners, and finally set it on a magnetic system that would allow all of our actors to truly interact with each other at the same time. Here's a typical scene from 6 weeks of standing in the middle of a magnetic field. So you see our wooden car that we built at the end, and we could use real props and real guns, and the actors could completely interact with each other. And we can show you this scene a bit later. Crucially, we also wanted to capture hand data, and we recorded vocal performances at the same time so we could capture a true performance. We hope you'll hear and see the difference when you play the game over the next few days at E3. Unfortunately, we found no easy way of capturing facial animation, so we went back to the drawing board and we wrote our own system called Talking Heads. Talking Heads allows us to animate facial expressions from reference footage from the motion capture shoot. Using Chopper as an example again, I'm going to show a little video of the types of expressions we can overlay over lip sync. That's a bit of a spooky experience for the actors too, to see us playing around with their heads like that. Finally, we had all the elements in place we needed to create a truly next generation video game. We have a compelling story worthy of a movie that doesn't get in the way of the game. We now have a game which we hope to appeal to both game and film audiences. The Getaway has been a mammoth undertaking from our largest ever development team. A team of 55 really creative people who I'm proud and honoured to work with. We think The Getaway is a glimpse of what the future holds for video games. The Getaway is attempting to reach a crossover audience. We want gamers to play the game, but we also want moviegoers who have never ever thought of buying a game. I'm going to finish traditionally with video, and this is a cinema trailer we've put together to try and get to both these audiences.
I think he's with us again.
Morning, sunshine. Good to see you again. Sleep well?
Wait for my son, you fat bastard.
Patient smart, my boy. Born in good time.
You don't tell me where my son is, you better kill me now!
Stop talking and start listening, Hammond. You're in no position to making demands, because we're going to play a little game. Eyebrows, give no fun. I ring you, you do the job. I do what I tell you, the kid dies. I do where I tell you, the kid dies. I do when I tell you, your kid dies. You getting my drift? You want to see your kid alive? Do exactly what I say. You let me down. You talk to anyone, or you're late. Your kid dies! You're on the run. You killed your wife. Left the murder weapon behind at the scene. You're a convicted bank robber. What do you think your chances are?
I know where your kid is. I can even get to him. I know the layout and the security. All of it.
Get up. I'm still not paying attention. Do you mean the filth are going to believe you?
Bounce with me. What? Bounce with me.
Yeah.
Security, converge on door 7. Hurry in! Pursuit, Commander. That crazy trog is about to make a jump!
I don't feel so good.
Toca! Oh, great! He's loose!
Hyperdrive activated.
cannot drop you on target due to weather conditions. Please head to the base. System engaged. Targets have increased their speed. Destroy them before they can escape.
Not long ago, we had this region secure under the supervision of one Colonel Blintz. That changed when Blintz was injured in the line of duty. Medics did what they could, but he sustained a massive, disfiguring head wound.
Disfiguring? He lost his mind.
And how that was the last we saw or heard of him until this. No.
Affirmative.
All clear. Where do you want it? On my way.
We got company!
Joy, I need space. Love, I need me.
Action!
Say hello to the girl that I am. You're gonna have to see through my perspective. I need to make mistakes just to learn who I am. And I don't wanna be so damn protected. There must be another way. Chances, but who am I to say what a girl is to do? God, I need some answers. What am I to do to win my life? How am I supposed to know what's right? I can't help the way I feel, but my life has been so overprotected. I'll tell them what I like, what I want, and what I don't. But every time I do, I stand corrected. Things that I've been told, I can't believe what I hear about the world and realize I'm overprotected. There must be another way, 'cause I believe in taking chances. But who am I to say what a girl is to do? God, I need some answers. What am I to do to win my life? How am I supposed to know what's right? I can't help the way I feel, but my life has been so
That's some pass. It's a long ball, out of play. And there's the cross. They struck early. The manager will be well pleased with that.
Lovely finish.
A superb goal from a superb corner.
Lovely finish.
Let's have a look at that in slow motion. They're charging forward again. He finds some space. Square ball, played short. About 30 yards out. Cracking shot! The keeper did well to block it. Oh, we didn't get a goal in the first half, but we got one in the second, and that's more than made up for it. Let's replay that goal and have a look. Look at that, you need real... Oh, a few inches lower and it would have gone in, but it's hit the crossbar. An X-rated tackle, easily deserving of a booking.
The ref will have to keep his eye on these pair. They've been at each other all game.
Plays it inside. Cuts inside. Brilliant! They gave him shooting space again.
Oh, he's made no mistake with that finish.
Let's have a look at the replay. Plays the header short. In the middle. How about that for a pass? The keep. Oh, it's there! And surely now, that will be the winner! Let's have a look at the replay.
Good work. Proceed to the next objective. We're taking serious fire. We need backup.
ball was just crushed. Way back, and it's a grand slam! They're bringing in a left-hander. Manny Ramirez is up. He had a hit early. It's on the way. He crushed that one. Oh, baby, it's out of here! They just hit back-to-back home runs. There's a grounder up the middle. Beautiful play. They barely got him on that play. Uncle Charlie just caught the corner. Swung on and missed. Strike 3. Shannon's had a pretty good day as he comes into this at-bat with 2 hits. There's a drive. He made the routine grab. Carlos Delgado is up to bat. Here's the pitch. There's a high fly ball deep. Home run! Well, it seemed like he knew exactly what pitch was coming before he even thrown it. There's a high fly ball deep. It's a 2-run bomb. You can tell that one was gone as soon as you heard it.
vulture after I stop that sign for collapse.
Coming down.
Shocker! So you're called a shocker, but you don't use electricity. I don't get it.
You can't hope that fire.
You're becoming a thorn in my side.
Who the heck?
You're about to embark upon the great crusade toward which we have striven these many months. The eyes of the world are upon you. The hopes and prayers of liberty-loving people everywhere march with you. In company with our brave allies and brothers in arms on other fronts, you will bring about the destruction of the German war machine, the elimination of Nazi tyranny over the oppressed peoples of Europe, and security for ourselves in a free world. Your task will not be an easy one. Your enemy is well-trained, well-equipped, and battle-hardened. He will fight savagely. I have full confidence in your courage, devotion to duty, and skill in battle. We will accept nothing less than full victory.
Stay with me and we'll get through this! Gotta take that beat!
That's all you're getting out of me, crowd. Useless.
Final round. Fight.
Let's go.
Final round. Fight. Final round. Fight. Final round. Fight.
本気で戦わせてもらうぜ。Fight 1 Ready Go!
さて戦いましょうか。
我に敵なし。Fight 1 Ready Go!
Come on!
So.
Round 1. Fight!
Puts it through. Sends it back. Nice pass. Absolutely incredible. Brazil are back in this game. The shot. Superb finishing. Brazil pull ahead.
Grabs are tricky. Backward flip with the mute to a stalefish. Player 1, the pack is hot. On your 10. Backside 540. Frontside 360. Forward flip with the tail grab to a combo.
Oh, aye, aye.
Time to get tricky. Backside 180. Frontside 180. Player 1. The breaking trick.
What I'm talking about.
Genki
I
Kai.
wrote the textbook, baby. Ozzy.
Busted up and broken deep inside. I'm busted up and broken deep inside. Yeah, yeah. Take my pain, say my name. If my heart give me time to start my life again. Take my pain,
superhero with a secret identity.
Exterminate the whack, then relax in serenity.
I'm like a superhero with a secret identity.
Exterminate the whack, then relax in serenity. Exterminate.
doing? How could you shoot someone who's unconscious? What are you, some kind of a monster? She's not dead, is she?
No, just knocked out.
Good.
Looks like a little angel, doesn't she?
What's gotten into you?
Nothing.
Sleeping Beauty may have been awakened by Prince Charming's kiss, but you better not try it here.
I'm with you. Besides, I've had enough of tomboys.
Good. Good. So, any codec moments from you, Snake? The first one I'm seeing is... So, this explains a lot. Not that there's anything wrong with keeping it to yourself. I mean, you know, it's your life and everything. But you're going to have to take those Metal Gear photos now. The next image is... This is hilarious! This rules. But we can't use it. Get the shots we need. I'll just make a backup of this one.
Program that will add fuel to the uncontrolled fire of nuclear proliferation. It is a fact that players in favor of such a policy are attempting to derail our own wave project. But I promise you that they will not succeed. This weapon will render all other Metal Gears obsolete. Nations building up their own Metal Gear force will think twice about their nuclear strategy.
Vamp is a member of Dead Cell. Born in Romania, his specialty is knives. But I guess you know that by now. When he was just a kid, he lost his family to a terrorist bomb that went off in a church they were attending. His body pierced by a crucifix, Vamp was buried under the rubble for 2 days before he was finally rescued. During those 2 days, he survived by feeding on the blood of his family to quench his thirst. That was how he acquired a taste for blood.
So that's why they call him Vamp.
No, Vamp isn't for vampire, it's because he's bisexual. Rumor has it, Vamp was the lover of Scott Dolph, the Marine Commandant who accidentally died 2 years ago. Scott Dolph was also the father of Fortune, the Dead Cell leader.
Fortune's old man? But Fortune and Vamp?
You noticed, eh? Not bad for a rookie.
Right.
As you say, Vamp and Fortune are very close. Not lovers, but very close.
Friends?
No, there's more to their relationship than that.
But Vamp was her father's lover.
Would it have been better if it was with her mother?
Well,
I don't really think they care what you think. Focus on the mission.
By the way, have you ever met the guy before?
No.
But he seemed to know you.
Right. Well, No, it can't be.
What?
Nothing. I told you the Dead Cell is a group of madmen. I wouldn't take anything they say very seriously.
Raiden, your grip has gotten stronger. Guess your hard work has paid off.
Jack, you're great.
Raiden, how long are you going to keep doing that? Forget about doing pull-ups. It's about time you return to your duties.
Jack, don't get too carried away. There are limits to everything, you know.
Who's that?
It'd be a huge help if you happen to be Ames. bet you're not Ames either. I bet you're not Ames either. I bet you're not Ames either. Frankly, I don't care whether you're Ames or not.
My name's Jennifer.
Frankly, I don't care whether you're Ames or not.
Stay away from me.
You're Jennifer. You're Jennifer.
Stop! Don't touch me.
You're Jennifer.
This sucks.
Do I need to clear things with Otacon before I ask her out? Phew. Send the
No problem here. Wish I had that.
Return to your positions. Titan security.
You can't do it, one else can do it. No one else You're out of your league. You can't do it. You're out of your league. No one else can do the best. You're out of your league. No one else can do it. I'm the best.
You're really leaving, Captain? Shouldn't you heal up first?
Yuna needs me with her now. I can't be lying around in some bed.
Yeah, but...
Come on, look sharp. The Blitz season just started. Don't make those faces, yeah? Well, see ya, boys. You be good. I can't hear you.
Captain!